I would love your attention as we can continue with our program. This is the part of the program that I was most looking forward to, and I hope that you all will enjoy, because these are some remarkable stories, and it takes a lot of courage for these women to sit before you and share some of their experiences. And as we heard both Chief Dugan and Duke Preston talk before about just listening to the different experiences and gaining a greater perspective of what people go through on a daily basis, I think is great. So to my left is Khadijah Lee, Shantae Clark, and Julie Jerkins. Let's give them a round of applause. Three women from three completely different backgrounds. They found themselves linked together from an uncommon set of events that led them into incarceration, but they are now on the other side. And that's the beauty of this. They're on the other side. And definitely look forward to hearing from them, so I'm going to shut up a little bit here. And just as each of these women, I'll kind of try to lead you, because we had conversations prior to coming here just about your background and your story and what led you to this point. And so, Julie, I'll begin with you because you were very candid in sharing with me, business owner, soccer mom, and the pressures pushed you in a different direction. We'll have you pick up from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight and share my story. It is a very humbling experience, and I hope that I can touch a life tonight through my experience and what I've been through and where I am now. God is good. There's something I don't really share with anybody very much, because anybody can fall. I have two young sons. I had them late in life. I had them at 38 and 42. And at the time, I was clean and sober. I was also married to a pastor. I was a pastor's wife. Because of the guilt and shame, I don't share that very often, because I still deal with a lot of that guilt and shame. But I had my own cleaning service, I had my own business. I was a soccer mom, the football mom, the pastor's wife, the lady, the first lady. And I was always taking care of everybody else and not taking care of myself. And I had a lot of pressures on me. And then I started dabbling and doing pills. I had a lot of back problems, which led me into the pills. And I went cold turkey off of them. And when I did, I relapsed into my drug of choice, crack cocaine. And I lost everything. I lost my family, my church, the people who loved me, because the guilt and shame. I couldn't deal with the guilt and the shame of it, and I couldn't go back. So I did some very unspeakable things, because I didn't think I was going to be around to face the consequences, because I thought it was going to kill me. And that was my plans. But God knows the plans that He has for you, plans to prosper you, to give you hope and build your future. I went to jail before that happened, and I went to prison and did 27 months in prison. And since I got out, when the day I had no place to go, I came to Tampa. There is a transition house called Noah Community Outreach, if you're familiar with it. I was able to go into one of their homes, and there was a young lady there that was someone I knew in prison, was in the Ready for Work program, And the day that I got there, she told me about it, and 3 days later, I started ready for work. And then from then on, they couldn't get rid of me. They still can't get rid of me. I just love this ministry, A. Brown Ministry and Ready for Work. It's just an amazing ministry. It changed my life, and if it wasn't for Ready for Work and A. Brown Ministries, I would not be where I am today. I could not find a job the first 6 months. I had theft charges. Theft and violent charges are one of the hardest things to get a job with. So it took me 6 months, and I was there when I wasn't out ringing the bell for Salvation Army, working the football games. I was doing whatever I could to do whatever I needed to do to help myself. But when I wasn't out there trying to make a little bit of money, I was at Ready for Work, waiting for that phone to ring, driving them crazy. You got anything for me today? You got anything for me today? My first day back after Christmas break, I went into the office, and Robert Blunt was actually being the stepping in as the job coach, or just doing the job coach's duties that day. And a phone call came through and they recommended me. And their interview was in Largo. And I looked at him and I said, I can't get to Largo. And he said, I'll take you. So Robert Brown took me to my interview. And not only did he take me to my interview, he sat in on my interview. So, and I had all, Ready for Work trains you for interviews. They train you for everything. I said, man, I've got to make this Ray Brown Ministries and Ready for Work look good. So he took me to my interview, sat in with the interview with me, and I got the job at Sun Country Cleaners. I was a CSR running a store location, customer service rep, running a store location where I would work. You generally work by yourself. There was no one else there. So I was in charge of the store. I was in charge of the cash register. I was just so grateful to have been given that opportunity to someone to put the trust back into me. And so grateful for someone to give me the opportunity so that I am somebody and I am worth it. I took a bus to work. I was on that bus an hour and 40 minutes to work and an hour and 40 minutes home. And I did that for a year and a half. I never missed a day. 6 days a week, and I was never late. Year and a half later, after I got my car, about a month after I got my car, they couldn't keep me in out of the other stores. They were putting me everywhere. I would work my shift, and I'd go work another shift, and I was offered a supervisor position. Out of 40 stores, 80 CSRs, I was given a supervisor position.
And Julie, what I think is cool is the fact that the woman that you're sitting right next to is Shantae Clark, who is a colleague of Julie Jerkins. And so we'd like to shout out Sun Country Cleaners for providing the opportunity. And so when you hear a story like Julie, Shantae, I hope you don't mind me revealing your age. We'll just say in 40s, early 40s. How about that? That's safe. But similar to what you heard from Clinton Golson earlier, at the age of 16, she had a life sentence. And the gravity of that at 16, I don't think any of us could imagine that. So walk us from that moment to now, much like Julie did, of where you're standing today.
Okay, I can, well, I could say as a youth, I was very, I was very influenced by music, very influenced by my peers as growing up in my teens. Actually, I take it all the way back, okay? I'm what someone would consider an Army brat. My father was in the service, my mother was a housewife, so, you know, as a kid, we bounced around from place to place, and something transpired that my dad ended up getting a discharge from the service, so we ended up landed in St. Petersburg. And to make a long story short, I ended up hanging out with my peers, of course, and getting into the wrong things, and that's how I ended up basically getting in trouble with the law. You know, from that time on, I mean, well, actually, I went to prison by the time I was 15. Well, I went to jail by the time I was 15, so at 16, I did get a life sentence, and it's still, because my mentality, I was still such a child. I did not even realize, it just didn't dawn on me for a few years. Well, it only took a few years, but incarceration will have it has a strong impact on you. It'll make you realize where you are. And from there, I had to grow. I just had to grow up and mature, and I don't know. It was a struggle. It was different. It was different. But up until this point in time, well, me getting into Abraham Ministry, 25 years later, under the laws that just changed, they deemed it unconstitutional to sentence kids who were under 18 to a life sentence. So I got blessed and I fell up under those brackets. Thank God. And I'm telling you. And so as I was in the county jail, right, you know, while I was in the county jail, I remember sitting there and I'm like, God, you know, I've been in prison I've been incarcerated since I was 15. I'm like, I don't know anything. I don't know anybody. I said, I need help. And my attorney, God bless her, her name was Adrienne Bird. She was like, okay, I'll look up some halfway houses for you and stuff like that. I'm like, listen, this can't be any kind of halfway house, right? I say, because I'm like this. I'm like Pebbles from the Flintstones getting ready to enter into the Jetson era. I said, I need help. I'm like, listen, I need help. I need somebody to hold my hand, like, help me. You know, and she was like, I got you. And so she came back and she had people from Abraham Ministry, and they were so awesome. God, shout out to Tanisha and Allie. God bless y'all. They did my interview for me. And this is before I wasn't even accepted. And at the end of the interview, I remember Tanisha inspired me with the word of God and was saying, you know, just trust God. And I'm like, okay, because at the time, my senses were still up in the air. And then I remember Allie asking me, like, where would you like to eat? I'm like, where would I like to eat? I mean, because in the system, we're not given choices. You put something in front of you, you don't want it, you starve. It's just as simple as that. And I'm like, what do I want to eat? And so I'm looking at the Arby's commercial, and I'm like, Arby's, turkey bourbon, you know, so they were so cool. Like, you know, it's like, it really helped my faith, and it really helped me press forward in my strength in there, because there was very dark hours for me. And it, you know, even though I might have sometimes wavered and was like, oh, is this really going to happen? By them having faith, you know, just was saying like, okay, you know, what do you want to eat, or have faith? It encouraged me to like hold on, and I'm like, God, you got this. And so when the opportunity did come, and God blessed me, you know, I ended up getting resentenced. And to a lot of people, it's like a lot of time, like 50 years, but I've done 25 years. So I was like out the door, and who was waiting for me but my attorneys in Abraham Ministry? They whisked me away to their transition home, and that's where I grew. That's where I grew. They held my hand, and I got my prayers answered. Yes, yes.
And Khadijah, we've gotten a close glimpse of your story, but quickly recap just what was in that letter to the Bucks that moved them with compassion to give and kind of step to the challenge.
I started off from the beginning of my childhood when I was raised with my mother. There was drug and alcohol abuse going on, and I ended up getting moved to live with my grandmother at 5 years old. And from the beginning, it wasn't good, so people assumed that, you know, once I moved, that everything was perfect and everything was okay, and things weren't okay. There were things going on that shouldn't have been going on, and eventually I left at 18. I was working, I ended up having my daughter. Her father and I actually split up when she was 6 months, and me and my mom started to rekindle a relationship. And within less than a year, she passed away. And I ended up letting someone move into my home, and that person had drugs in my home. I was at work one day, her and her boyfriend were fighting, and the cops came, and they had probable cause to go into the home because she was screaming, and they saw the drugs, they found the drugs. I actually got arrested the next day, but I never in my life thought I would have seen prison. I just thought, okay, I'm gonna tell them it's hers, or she's gonna tell them it's hers, you know, she's gonna do the right thing. That's what I thought. And I'm in county jail, like, sitting there, and people were telling me, that girl's not gonna tell them it's hers, that girl's not gonna tell them. And I didn't actually get to sit down and really talk to my lawyer for a while. So I just assumed that things were, I still never thought prison. No matter what I thought, just prison wasn't even an option in my mind. And I actually ended up going to court in November, and they were offering me 4 years at the time, 4 years prison. And that was like before I even got the chance to talk to someone and say, hey, this is the situation and this is what happened. But basically, because my name was on the lease and she didn't take ownership for the drugs, it was my problem. And I remember one specific scene with my lawyer, and we were having a pro visit, and he actually told me once the meeting was over, he looked at me and he said, you have every reason to be pissed off. I remember that so vividly in my mind. But I wanted to take it to trial. They gave me one last offer of 1 year and 1 day. And being that I had already sat in county jail for 5 months, they told me that I would only have to do 5 more months. But if I took it to trial, there was no saying how long that would last. And this time, my daughter was out in the world without a mother, so I felt like I needed to take that deal. I needed to take that prison time and do the 5 months and go home. So I accepted the offer. And with that offer, because of the amount of drugs, I accepted basically being a felon, and not just a felon, but I have trafficking drug charges on my name. And as I was going through the process, everything for me was a really big blur. Like, everything was happening, but I really wasn't in the moment because of my mother. My mother died 30 days before I got arrested, so for me, nothing was really real. I remember a girl in county jail told me about A. Brown Ministries, and I didn't think I would need it because I wouldn't need their help. I thought I was going home. And I ended up writing them. I needed their address to send them the letter from prison, and the people I would write for the address, they weren't getting it to me. And I remember one night I was walking to Bingo, and Bingo got canceled. And they said, but instead of Bingo, that it was Black History Month, and A. Brown Ministries was at the prison. So I was just like, okay, well, I have to go there. I have to talk to them. I have to tell them. And I spoke to a man. I wish I remember his name. I actually saw him here tonight. And I remember him giving me the information and telling me who to talk to. And I wrote A. Brown a letter, and they sent me back a little pamphlet to sign up. And I was accepted while I was still in prison. And once I got out, I went and talked to them. And as soon as I could start on the first Monday, which is the day you start, I was in the program. And I wasn't available for housing just because of my daughter, but I was given clothes, I was fed every day, I was given bus passes, and I mean, now I work for the Public Defender's Office.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing.
When you hear these stories, you just take it in and it's like, this is real. This is real life. This is what's happening to your fellow man or woman that's sitting next door to you, or walking down the street, or riding the bus, or getting something to eat. And because, again, you're so brave to share your experiences, if there is, and I would love to phrase this a little bit differently, but just for, colloquialism, like, is there any good that came from this for you all? I know that you all are rooted in faith, and you have a relationship, but is there any good that you feel like came from this experience, any of these experiences?
I don't see how to me, it was any good me going to prison because I lost my children, I lost my husband, I lost my family, I lost my dignity. I lost a lot. But today, my ex-husband is here with me. My children are back in my life. And I do have dignity in myself. I do love myself again. I do matter. I look myself in the mirror every day and I say, I matter.
For myself, I could say that there's a lot of good. You know, faith in God really plays a huge part in my life. But I can recall when I was 15 and I was getting arrested, and I remember, oh gosh, and if anybody's seen the movie Set It Off with Queen Latifah, you know, I was a little out there, and that's how it actually looked when I was getting arrested. Like the whole police force was after me. And so I'm like, oh, here we go. And so when the officer stopped me, and then, you know, because I actually hit a couple police cars, and I was crazy insane. But I remember the officer stopped, and he had a gun, and he was pointing it at me, and I'm looking like, oh boy, it's gonna happen. And I'm like, okay, here it is, it's over. And all of a sudden, I just heard the window just getting bust out. And, you know, they snatched me up, and, you know, they did a little Rodney King thing with me. I got beat up so bad. I'm like, oof, you know, but it made me realize then that not only was my life spared, but this situation, I was actually rescued. You know, my life wasn't taken during my arrest. It should have been. You know, when I went to prison with a life sentence, that was like another shut door. I should have been dead, but I'm still alive. And then I get blessed with this ending after 25 years. I'm out here, and I'm in society, and that person that I was is like, you wouldn't even know that was me unless I told you. You know what I'm saying? And that's God and his transformation. So that I not only, you know, and not only it's like I've been rescued, restored, and then like I'm in transition, I'm set free. You know, so I just give all thanks to God because he did everything. He did it all. He did it all.
And Khadijah, when we were talking, you said you felt like it had to happen.
I do. I remember in prison at one of the church meetings, they said, God sent you here because he loved you. And I was just like, what? But I get it now. I really, really get it now. I feel like I feel like for me, my situation and my specific journey, I feel like I didn't see the potential in myself. I feel like I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and something had to happen to show me that, and I was taken to the bottom. I was dragged down to the bottom to show myself, like, my mom passed away, I'll get over it. Things happen, I'll get over it. I can still keep going, I'm still breathing, and I need to do something with this breath. I don't need to just be depressed, I don't need to be sad. I need to continue to keep going on and to push forward. And today, actually, on my lunch break at work, I went to a restaurant in downtown, and there was a homeless person looking in the garbage can. And I went up to him, and I asked him if he would come have lunch with me. And he didn't want to. He was like looking down and looking ashamed. But for me, it was just like, there's a lot of good that's came out of A. Brown. Like, I can afford to feed myself.
Amen.
And I think all of you all, you know, have already touched on it, but just, you know, a more pointed answer on the value of another chance, a second chance, another opportunity. Julie?
I came out just ready to just get on with my life and just be the best person I can be and do the best I can do and be there and be an encouragement to others and be there for others. I stayed at Noah Community House for longer than I should have. I was there 3 years. They couldn't get rid of me either. But I was also one of the house managers there as well. But it was like my safety net. I do live on my own now. Work has been very stressful. So I'm going to be making some changes. I'm just going to step back just a little bit, do a little bit of other stuff, because my peace of mind right now is more than important than working 12, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I'll have more time for my family and more time to do things to give back more. Yes, I can still recommend hiring from A. Brown Ministries. I have hired several of their candidates into our company, and I will continue to make sure that that's taken care of as well.
Julie, that's an interesting point, because in talking with you all, the idea is there is no desire to go back to that of what Clinton said earlier. There is no desire for many people to go back to that. And so I think it was interesting in speaking with you all, you talk about the type of employees that you are, because you're so ready to move forward and to move on and show others that you're reentering society, you're ready to earn an honest wage and go back or try to live a fruitful life. Shantae, if you don't mind chiming in.
Okay. For me, it's really been a blessing. I went from, God forgive me, I went from stealing people's cars to now I have my own car that's paid for, no payments, it's all mine. I went from, living with my mother, God bless her death, she didn't make it to see me upon my release. But, God is putting people in my family who are not quite family, even though my aunt is representing the day. God bless her. She's been there for me the whole 25 years, but also I have another family. It's like people who are re-entering society, coming in the community, those girls who are still in the system, and like, Shantae, what do we do? It gets pretty busy out here, so I'm actually, just being able to lead them and like, okay, this is what's going on, and we don't hear from you. I'm like, listen, it's real out here. Here we only watch it on TV in a prison, but here, we're living a life out here. Hold on for a minute, help is on the way. It's really been a transition, but it makes me feel good. I mean, my long-term goal is actually I'm going to be in ministry. I'm not want to be. I'm going to be in ministry, and because I want to give back to the community. I mean, I was young, so I want to help those, especially girls who were around my age when I got, incarcerated. I was, been locked up since I was 15. And, I know I can, certain things and patterns that goes on in life. I would love to be a part of the, prevention and intervention with that. Just at this moment, when you're first getting out, it's very important that you get yourself established first sometimes, and then branch off, God will make sure things get done in the process, but sometimes you have to get yourself done because we don't want to get overwhelmed, it's a process, but that goal is there.
And you all are providing a voice for the voiceless, women who are still locked up or in prison in the system. So before we go, I want you to give some takeaways from the audience, for the audience, just from your perspective, of what A. Brown Ministries has done for you and what you hope it will continue to do in this community. Obviously, by way of you being here is a great support, but what has A. Brown Ministries meant to you, Khadijah?
I think A. Brown gives a different experience. I feel like I've heard stories about people who go to prison and come out, and they do go back and back and back because there is no actual help in the prison. They're not actually doing anything. You're just working there for free, basically, and getting told what to do all day, and that's it. They basically just run your life. There's no actual help. It's not a recovery system. It's just like a timeout, and then they go back to what they know, because then when you come out, no one gives you a chance. And it's like, just because you're a felon doesn't mean you're a bad person, like at all. It doesn't. And there were a lot of beautiful people in there, a lot of talented people, a lot of real human beings that, it depends on what the crime is and what the situation is. sometimes you do need a timeout, but there were also a lot of people in there who I know they deserve a second chance. We deserve a second chance. Everyone in this room deserves a second chance, and A. Brown gives you that. A. Brown doesn't just give you that. A. Brown, it's more like a family. The way they treat you, it's not like they're doing something for you. It's like you're a team and they're helping you, and this is just something they want to do, not a job that they're coming here to do every single day. And they don't make it seem like it's an issue either. It's just like everything you need, they're gonna try to find a way. And it's like, I didn't even know the program did these things. And it's like, even tonight, just bringing coloring books and crayons for my daughter, it's the little things. They really help with everything in your life. They don't just do one thing or, come apply for jobs all day long. They're really, 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 it's a family. It's a family. And they do a lot more than just get you a job. They hold your hand. They hold your hand the whole way through, and they don't mind, and they do it with love. Yeah.
I have to agree with Ms. Khadijah, right? They definitely hold your hand. Like I said, me coming out, I went in 15, and a part of me was still that 15-year-old girl, because I had never ever seen a bill. I never ever paid a bill. I have my share now. I don't know what I was looking forward to at that part. Just many things that I had not experienced in life. They held my hand the whole way through. Even when I had my conversation with God, I'm like, okay, God, I need some help out here. I don't even know what a checkbook looks like. And people are like, oh, they don't do checkbooks no more. I'm like, oh, okay, or what? It's just the whole transition from the era that I got locked up in. I mean, the cell phones were like super huge, and they had this huge antenna, and now we have these like slick things, and I'm like, okay, so what is this? And they're like, it talks. I'm like, it talks. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Even going, things as simple as going to the restroom and it flushing, what? I didn't have to do that. It's the transition, but A. Brown held my hand through it all when I was freaking out about these things that are going on in life, and I'm like, hey, what is this? They held my hand through it all, helped me get my ID, they helped me get my driver's license, even paid for half of my driver's license. I was like, wait, cool, because I couldn't afford it at the time. I wasn't working, and when I needed transportation, I didn't have to go right out into the bus. They understood my situation, this girl did 25 years, we just can't put her on a bus. So they helped me out, and one of the counselors, God bless her, she even got on the bus with me and to the destination because I needed that type of help, and they gave it to me. They gave it to me. Like I said, they held our hand. When they said they hold your hand, they hold your hand. I'm thankful. Yeah, for real.
They do. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was lost when I got out of prison, and A. Brown Ministries put me in the right direction. They set my feet down, and they planned it for me, and I took off from there running with it. So they went before me. It is an anointed ministry. And you can feel the presence of the Lord at A. Brown Ministry and on their properties, and you should just walk on it. I'm so grateful for A. Brown Ministry.
Just powerful testimonies this evening. My cup is full, quite honestly. And again, I say thank you. Thank you for sitting here and being brave enough and candid and open and sharing. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give these wonderful women a round of applause. Thank you.